The Count is very lonely. He has no full-time news companions, and as such, even his favourite video games no longer make him smile. Can you help make the Count smile? If you think you have what it takes to turn the Count from this weeping shambles in front of you to the Snark Lord we all know and love, please get in contact as soon as you can. Find the GameCast social links in the description and contact us if you think you can help. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to the GC Informer. I am Snowy, otherwise known as Count Fracula, and you've not had me for a whole week, you poor things, but I did have a wedding to go to, and I don't think my life was worth missing that one, to be honest. I may well have been killed if I hadn't. We will start today with a quick update on the most annoying case in gaming, Alex Mauer. As we all know, last week she was granted a temporary here you go, here's a restraining order. No, not granted. She was given a temporary restraining order on behalf of Imgos Films, because that's the parent company, so just go with that from then on. Imgos Films, she was given a restraining order from them regarding the game Star Mazer DSP. If, by the way, you do want any sort of catch up on this, then please refer to any other video on GameCast that has Alex Mauer in the title. This restraining order was up for review on Wednesday last week, and the hearing went as such. Alex Mauer tried to argue that if she was in fact complying with the requests of the restraining order anyway and just removing false DMCA claims on YouTube, then why was the restraining order needed in the first place? The response from Leonard French, who is indeed representing Imgos Films, was that if this thing wasn't there, fuck me, you can tell it's been a week. If Alex Mauer did not have this restraining order on her, then she probably wouldn't do these things, and having this restraining order in place telling her to do it gives more incentive, because then she could be prosecuted if she doesn't, which yeah, that's very true. She doesn't remove these DMCA claims that she has falsely put on people's channels, then she will be prosecuted, so that's why she's actually doing it. Slightly less good news on the sort of case front, if you wanted this to be a thing that's going to be over quickly, is that she has been given until the 21st of August to find a representative, because she keeps firing them. While this might seem like a very long time, in fact it is a long time. It's in fact almost, yes, it's just under 4 weeks now. It is a long time, but at the same time, this coupled with the until 25th of September that she needs to file her sort of response or answer to the complaint by Imgos Films means that it gives the legal team behind Imgos Films, Leonard French, more time to come up with appropriate responses and sort of make their case watertight. So think of it in that positive light. Again, I shouldn't take sides, so of course Alex Mauer may of course be in the right, but considering her actions and what she's actually done, she is not in the right legally, but you know, whatever. Also, a little update on the River City Ransom, which I have been misnaming the whole time, because I keep calling it River City Rampage. That's not what it is, it's River City Ransom Underground. The developers of the game, who are called Conadus, have removed the game from Steam. Of course, we already knew that, and they have posted a Steam forum post saying why they did it. You can see the whole thing on screen, so if you want to read it all, then by all means please pause and go through it yourself, but the gist of it is that they want to distance themselves from Alex Mauer and all the sort of associated rubbish with that. So they're changing the soundtrack, which is why it's currently removed from Steam, which means it will be back. And this effectively gives them a clean slate as to this game, because it's their baby. They want this game to be remembered in their minds as the years of work that went into it and all of that. This is of course fair enough, and the game will probably go back up in a few weeks with more music. But I think this is going to be the last sort of major thing we're going to hear on Alex Mauer for a while. This is of course because the main sort of bulk of what's going on is now going to be happening in the courts behind closed doors, which means until it's over, much like the whole Jim Sterling digital homicide case, we won't actually hear very much about it. Regardless, I wish all parties involved well, hope they all get sort of on and move on with their lives eventually, because that's the best outcome, really. There's a small little game online now. What's it called? It's called Doom. That's the thing, yeah. I don't know how many of you will have heard of that game. We are actually Ooh, my voice went pretty weird. We are actually talking about the original Doom here as well, not the 2016 Doom 4, which was titled Doom, because of course it was. No, this is the early 90s Doom 1 original. The protagonist in Doom is pretty sort of ubiquitous now within games, and everyone really sort of knows who he is. If you know anything about gaming, you see that face, that's the Doom Marine. What you may not know is that according to John Romero, one of the creators of Doom, the Doom Marine is based on him. Yes, this guy, based on that. I don't see it. According to Romero on his blog, he actually hired a professional model to be the sort of muse and inspiration behind the Doom Marine, but he couldn't get the professional model to do what he wanted them to do, and just sort of did it all himself, because he did, in a very John Romero-esque fashion, actually, when you think about it. This is, of course, just the Doom guy from the cover of the game, not, of course, the in-game, I would say sprite, but I don't know if you can actually see the sprite, and the face clearly isn't John Romero, definitely not. But even then, you look at the cover guy, it does not remind me of John Romero personally, but that's just me. And whether or not it's true, that's an interesting little tidbit about a very old game that I found quite interesting. Crash Bandicoot again. This is just, stuff keeps coming up about it, and I find it quite interesting, so I'm going to keep talking about Crash Bandicoot, so shut up. There was a level for the original Crash Bandicoot that was deemed so difficult that it wasn't included in the game. It was called Stormy Ascent, and it has actually been released as free DLC for the Insane Trilogy. It was apparently one of the last levels designed for the original game, but it had to be cut because of constraints. The game itself wasn't actually removed from the disc, it was still on the Gold Master, so it got printed, but it was locked away, and you could actually access it through a Game Shark or similar cheating device. When it came to remastering the game, though, the developers had a bit of difficulty because they couldn't complete it, or they were finding it very difficult to actually get through the level to see what they needed to remake. Apparently, the level has sort of the way the platforms are done and the sort of increasing speed of the level as you go along made it incredibly difficult to, in the words of the developers, master in the first place so that it could be remastered. Again, this seems to be a theme today, just little fun tidbits of news that have come out, because it's not a huge week for gaming news, but at the same time, there's lots of little fun bits to talk about. I am going to finish off on a not fun note though. Well, sort of, it's got a happy ending, but Microsoft Paint is no longer going to be a default sort of app on Windows. The story originally started as MS Paint is going to be discontinued and is completely got rid of on all future Windows machines after 32 years of existence. Now this would have been a bummer for many reasons. One, it's sort of it reminds me a lot of my childhood, because I'm sure a lot of people did this. You did a scribble on Paint, you used the fill tool, you filled in all the little gaps in the, like all the little shapes that you've made in your squiggle. And for some reason that could occupy many hours because children are easily entertained. It was also a bit of a bum because the best sort of way to take screenshots within Windows, because Microsoft haven't implemented a proper screenshot saving tool, to use print screen, then paste the resulting clipboard image into Paint and save it. I don't know, it's a very mixed thing whether or not it needs to exist, but weird. The backlash online was of course immense, and loads of people took to the internet to berate Microsoft for trying to get rid of their beloved Paint. This has now prompted a change in heart from Microsoft, who have now said that instead of completely phasing out Paint altogether, what they will do is just put it on the App Store instead. So while it's not going to be on machines by default anymore, it can still be downloaded from the Windows App Store. If you still want Paint, if you still use Paint, that's where it's going to live soon. So that's it for this episode of the GC Informer. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a like, a subscribe, a share, whatever you fancy. Our social links are down in the description as well. If you want some more of me personally, I have my own channel where I do lots of Let's Plays, although I've been a bit quiet on there recently. I plan to get back into it soon, which you can find on an end card. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time for some more news.